Why can't women just approach him? Why can't women just ask me out on a date? But the truth is, the feedback that we get is men don't like that, and it's too masculine.
Yeah.
For
I
us
tell
to really
I
do
tell
it.
the ladies I know, so I'm almost 52. I tell the women, I know this is maybe sounds old-fashioned, but it works. The old-fashioned courting and all of that stuff, they want to be courted the old-fashioned way. Open the doors, be the gentleman. They want a gentleman.
Coming up on this week's episode of the Ask Women podcast, we have true insider information. We have Hilary Silver on the show, who coaches hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of high-achieving, successful, amazing women on how to get the dating and relationship lives that they want, which means that she has insider info about what these women really want, what they want you to do. And she is going to share all of that info with us in the next 50 minutes. So keep listening. I'm not going to let you take the reins yet because I want to introduce you properly. So Hilary is my new friend. She is literally like I was going to say the female version of me, but not in the way that you think. Like, I coach men, she coaches women. We do exactly the same thing. I feel like we're very similar, and we've connected only recently, but I feel like it's been a very long time. Like, she should have been in my life 20 years ago. But guys, Hilary is going to be your insider into how to date high achieving, super successful women, A-type personalities, strong women, modern women, whatever you want to label them as. And I'm going to introduce Hilary, but also allow her to kind of explain like who she works with and really what we're going to be talking about on today's podcast, because she's better at explaining it than I am.
Well, we did become fast friends, and I feel like we are like kind of sisters.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
All right, so you're cheating on me.
Yes,
Oh.
100%.
We can just
Okay.
bring you in. We'll just bring
Right.
you in.
We're
You know, isn't that every
polyamorous
guy's
friendship.
dream?
Yeah.
There you go. New turn for this podcast. Okay.
Well, so thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So Ready for Love, I've been running Ready for Love as an online coaching company since 2017. And our focus is helping women who are super successful in their careers, but who happen to have shit shows of a love life. And most of them have been divorced maybe more than once. Some of them have never been married and feel like they missed that boat and they really want that terribly. And some have been widowed. But interestingly enough, the widows often didn't have a very good relationship either. So their love lives definitely do not reflect the way that they show up in other areas of their life. And so that's what we really do, is we really help them figure out why that is, where that comes from, heal some of the parts of themselves that need healing, and help them show up really fully confident in all areas of their lives. They look like the part on the outside, but the secret that you all need to know is that just because they look the part doesn't mean that they actually feel it. You know, one thing that I think most people get wrong when making assumptions about women who are very successful is that they do have it all together, but there's a very little known fact, but it is a fact that high achieving women often struggle with low self-worth and low self-esteem. So that's really what we focus on.
Yeah. Well, okay. So tell me more. So remembering that we have an audience of all men, mostly single, or most actually, a lot of them were also divorced, maybe even married to some of these high achieving women. So tell me, like, you kind of touched on it with the low self-respect for themselves, but tell me, like, why this happens for so many women who are high achievers. Like, why do their love lives suffer?
Yeah, it's something that goes way back. I mean, it all goes way back for all of us, right? Who we become starts when we're little. And I call this the plight of the high achiever, which is that somewhere along the way in their childhood experiences, they got messaging that their worth or their value comes when they achieve, when they succeed, when they win. And so they learn from the time that they're little girls, they're trying to see, look, I am good enough, see what I did. And sometimes it's because no one's paying enough attention to them. Sometimes that's how they figure out that they get rewarded with attention or approval or acceptance. Sometimes it is in fact what's happening. Like, parents will say, why'd you get the B? Why didn't you get the A? So the role becomes about getting their significance from external sources. So they go on building lives around this deep need to prove that they are good enough. And they think that that is their self-worth, that is their self-esteem. And so it's a big blind spot for these women, because they can point to their accolades, they can point to their careers and all the letters behind their name or whatever that is, and think that they're powerful and confident. But the truth is, in their love lives, they can't hide behind all of those things. To have true intimacy and successful relationships, you have to let all that down, let your walls down and let your guard down and be vulnerable. So their low self-worth really has been ignored all this time. They've not been developing that. They've been busy developing other things.
But if they're high achievers, wouldn't they also be high achievers in the relationship space? Meaning that they would research how to have more intimacy, how to let their guard down. Like, why doesn't that cross over?
Well, a lot of them do. They come to me thinking that they know a lot, and they do. They know better, but they're not doing better. So they're well researched. They know about narcissism. They know about attachment. They know about family therapy stuff. Like, they've done the work, but it's intellectually. There's a disconnect between knowing it and feeling it and being it and doing it differently. Okay. And that's where they get stuck.
Can you dive into that a little bit more? Like, what is that difference between actually putting it into application versus I know this? Like, how does that differ? Or explain.
Yeah, I think it's a lack of consciousness or a lack of self-awareness. And most of these women are not all of these women who are very successful with the dollars and the accolades and all that stuff are actually type A. Some of them are, some of them are not. But either way, no one is going to tell them the truth, that they're the problem. Right. Everyone's going to point, this is my biggest beef with the entire dating industry, except for you guys, of course, which is everyone just says, well, he's just a jerk. He's the problem. He's this, he's that. And what we do that's so very different, and we only work with women who agree with on this, is that they are the problem. Yeah. They may know all of this, but nothing's changed. Right. They're still showing up diminished, uncertain, self-doubting, insecure, unsure of themselves, picking themselves apart, not fat, not thin enough, not funny enough. The woman I just invited to my program today, she says, I'm not fun enough. She's an attorney. She's lovely. She just walks around thinking she's not funny enough. Right. Or I'm boring. I'm not smart. All these things. So that's what's happening in her little head, in her pretty little head. And it doesn't translate to showing up powerful in your love lives. So they end up being treated not the way they want to be treated. They stay too long. They overlook the flags. They don't trust themselves. They're really disempowered in their love lives with men. This is where their lack of self-worth rears its ugly head the most. They can fake it at work all day long. And maybe they're not even faking it. That could be very genuine confidence in their work, but they don't trust themselves in their relationships because they have a history of making poor choices and allowing themselves to be treated less than they deserve to be treated.
So is that what the common theme is for these women, that they end up becoming like meek versions of themselves within a relationship? Or because on the flip side, I would also envision these women either becoming closed off or cold or lashing out, just because that's typical human behavior when you feel lost and angry at yourself, that's what would happen. But
there's a lot of self-protective behaviors.
Right. Okay.
This is really interesting to me because it's the opposite of what I would have thought. And there's probably other cases, of course, where the woman who is in a high-powered position isn't willing to take crap and from the guy and stuff. But my last relationship was so toxic, and I kept saying to myself, a woman who was successful and strong would never be in this relationship. I'm in this relationship because I'm not as successful as I want to be, because I haven't achieved all the things that I should have achieved, blah, 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 blah. And so in my head, I would always say, because he wanted a strong woman, a very strong woman, but at the same time, like someone who's also soft and sensitive, like housekeeper-y kind of. So it's like, pick your poison, dude. But I kept saying to myself, like, he can't expect someone with that success to put up with his bullshit. But you're saying they do.
Yeah.
That's just human, right?
It's crazy. Yeah. I think I put strong women on a pedestal because I don't feel like a strong woman. Mm-hmm. So,
Well, and
I feel like a
we have parts of
strong
ourselves,
12-year-old
right?
boy. But
You are strong in certain probably aspects of your life and in certain areas. When you're sure, we're strong when we're sure of ourselves, right? When you know something without a doubt, you'll fight for it till the
Tooth
end.
and nail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's when you don't know that those things about yourself that you doubt. You doubt your worth, or you doubt that it's normal to be treated this way, or you doubt that what he's saying is true. We start doubting ourselves. And when we doubt ourselves, we end up betraying ourselves.
Hmm.
We abandon ourselves and we listen to what they say as if it's gospel rather than
yes,
listening to what we say.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's very true for the men listening as well. But
Yeah.
I want to try and help guys understand how to date these kinds of women, because the truth is that whether she's successful or not successful, insecure women who doubt themselves are going to exist, again, whether successful or not successful. So I know this isn't your area of expertise, but I think you have a lot of experience in it on what the women are seeking on their end. For guys that are listening, how can they best navigate women like this and help them? So, for example, if a woman doesn't really know herself, or she believes she knows everything because she's read 20 books on it, how do men navigate women like this in a relationship? Is it calling them out? Is it seeing things that maybe the woman doesn't see about herself? Like, how do they
Yeah.
navigate this properly without being shut down?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. And the answer to me is no matter who she is, and this is what I tell my clients, I'm like, stop thinking about what he's thinking about. Just worry about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so guys, stop worrying about what she's thinking about, because what she really wants is for you to show up sure of yourself. What, just like everything I just said, for her, she wants from you. She wants to know that she's going to be met with like a man who's secure in himself, is sure of himself, isn't self-doubting. Because when we're all in that state of self-doubt, self-denial, not knowing ourselves, not knowing our worth, is when the behavior comes out. And the behavior from her and the behavior from him interacting on a date or even 10 years down the road
Right.
is the problem that we experience that makes us so unhappy. But the layers upon layers upon layers, when we get down to the root of it, for both sides, it's not showing up sure of yourself, knowing yourself,
Well, what I'm
conscious about
hearing from
yourself.
you is actually that there is a sure of yourself conscious. It's feeling good about yourself. But what I'm hearing from you is actually being able to verbalize these things and vocalize these things
Yes.
to a woman. So like a lot of the insecurities that happen with women, I'm assuming, is I don't know if he likes me. I don't know if he's going to call. I don't know if he's going to show up. I don't know if he'll be there 3 months down the road.
Mhm.
So on the flip side for guys, it is just about sticking to your word, saying the things that you think out loud, obviously in a composed manner where you're not just like throwing up on a woman. But I tell a lot of guys that I work with, you kind of have to, yes, you can play a game of, oh, well, she doesn't know when I'm going to call her, so that she, starts to have a lot of anxiety and then it thinks about you all the time. There's like that tactic that doesn't really work very well in most cases for older women specifically. Or you can be the guy who, after the end of the date, says, I'm swamped over the next week. I probably am not going to reach out until next week around Wednesday or Thursday. I will reach out on that day. I'd like to see you again, and hopefully we can plan something for the weekend.
There's
So
nothing
that is,
sexier than that. There's nothing
yes,
sexier to a woman than a man who knows what he wants and goes for it
yeah,
and follows the fuck
and
through.
follows through, and actually
Follows
calls on
through.
Wednesday and Thursday, and
And I
makes
teach
plans.
them, and maybe I'm wrong, so you could tell me, but I tell them if he really likes you, he's not too swamped to call you. He is not too swamped to follow up, because you, my dear, to my ladies, are amazing. You have a lot of people who are interested in you, and if he wants you, he better act fast.
Well, it's interesting because that's the same advice that's given to the men on the other side. If she really likes you, she'll answer your calls. She'll respond back.
She
to
will.
you. But there is this middle zone of I don't want to give too much to the other side to let them know that.
Can
I
we
like
just
them.
agree that we're on a mission, that you'll educate the men and I'll educate the women to stop fucking playing games? Because everybody both say, I don't
Mhm.
want to play games. That's what they
Yeah.
dread about dating. It brings out the crazy in everyone.
Mhm.
It triggers everyone's insecurities. And by the way, just because you are insecure sometimes doesn't make you an insecure person.
Correct.
We all have insecurities, and dating is the perfect place to bring it out in all of us. So that's why the answer for both sides is to show up fully sure of yourself. That your value doesn't rest on or rely on whether or not this person likes you.
Right.
Do you find that men find successful, strong women less desirable?
That's my question. Good.
I think that they can be intimidated by it. Women often say, I
is
get
that
told
what your
I'm
women say?
intimidated all the time. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of ways to look at that issue. You know, the classic social media thing is if he's intimidated by you, then he's a weak man. And I say, if you're getting that from one guy, perhaps maybe he's just insecure. But if you're getting it from man after man after man, or you're getting it from many places in your life, like at work or in friends or in the community, who's the common denominator?
Right.
She is.
Right.
I
So there's this balance that you have to strike, I believe, in a relationship with the masculine and the feminine. And so would you say that if a strong woman, appears strong, confident, da 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 da, should, this is more a dating advice show right now for women and basically me, but would you suggest the strong woman showing up a little softer in perhaps maybe the way she dresses or the way she's talking, or
Well, I think
just
the interesting thing that you're saying that makes it also for the guys that are listening is to say that there are a lot of women who may need that advice, right? The advice of soften up, when at the core, they actually already are soft. They've just presented themselves in a different way.
right. So would it be, obviously, I think I'm answering my own question, but it would be a great idea, I think, for men to do things to bring out her feminine.
Yeah, so the whole interplay of masculine and feminine, when you're in really one strong energy, it pulls and calls upon the energy of the other.
Yeah.
So when a woman is too in her masculine, there's no room for him to be the man, and it calls upon his feminine. And vice versa for the woman. When she's in her feminine, it allows him to be the man. So often a lot of my coaching isn't feign damsel in distress and don't just give him some arbitrary task and ask him to help you. That's stupid. That's not what it's about. It's about being your confident self and also being humble and knowing that your shit stinks just like everyone else, or that things hurt your feelings, or that you're feeling insecure right now, or just when you're truly comfortable in yourself, you don't have to hide behind the behaviors, the protective behaviors, to mask your insecurities. You can blush.
Well, that leads me to a question. How, and you may not have this answer because, like, most of the time you're coaching women on how to drop this for themselves. But for the guys that are listening, how would you coach them on how to get a woman to drop this veil a bit? Because if she is showing
And
up
to
in her
bring out her
max,
feminine.
yeah, like yes, guys can bring you on the date and you whisper in her ear, like, be softer, or
Yeah.
not softer, but just like get into your feminine more. But how can guys actually trigger these women who are? It's a defense mechanism. They're protecting themselves. They don't
Yeah.
want to be hurt anymore. How
Well,
can
so
they get it out
how
of
do
them?
you drop your guard and feel safe is by when somebody's being protective. So I think that it's a flow. And so if he's showing up strong in his masculine, it means he's he's making it a safe experience. She doesn't have to have her wall up. She doesn't have to have her guard up. He follows through and says what he's going to do, which means then she doesn't feel like she's going to follow up.
You have to do it.
He can follow up. I tell them not to, after a great date, I say, if you want to receive that text that says, I had a great date, when can I see you again? Then don't be the one that texts him thank you after the date. And they think, well, I would want to receive that. And I said, great. If you want to receive it, then you have to not be the one to do it. So I'm just teach them to lean back so that he can lean forward. And like all at the end of the day that they want is for that strong man to come along. I don't care what anyone else is saying. And I think this is true for almost every woman. Yes, we can open the damn doors, and yes, we can probably pay for everything, but we don't want to.
Mhm.
And so when he comes along and doesn't hesitate, she's comforted. And when it's
Yeah.
leadership. Men listening, and by the way, before I was doing this, I was a therapist for a long time. So I coach men, women, and couples. So I have helped a lot of men over the years. When men have strong leadership, she can relax.
Mm-hmm.
And when she's relaxed is when she's funny, is when she's her true self, is when she's vulnerable, when she feels cared for. That's what she wants. And so it starts again, like what I said earlier, is just show up in your full, true, self-centered, not self-centered narcissism, self-centered as in centered, wholly, fully, truly in yourself, knowing yourself, trusting yourself, and showing up in your self-worth. That's what she wants. It is simple. It is not waiting 5 hours to text. It's not trying to mind read. It's a universal answer, which is men just need to show up and show up strong in themselves.
I love that. So there is one thing that you did say that I thought was really interesting, where you were kind of advising women, if they want that text, they shouldn't put that out there first. That's interesting insight, because I do know that there is so much being said to women. Obviously, guys are saying, why can't women just approach, and why can't women just ask me out on a date? But the truth is, the feedback that we get is men don't like that, and it's too masculine.
Yeah.
For
I
us
tell
to be
I tell the
doing.
ladies I know, so I'm almost 52. I tell the women, I know this is maybe sounds old-fashioned, but it works. The old-fashioned courting and all of that stuff, they want to be courted the old-fashioned way. Open the doors, be the gentleman. They want a gentleman because that
Do you think
allows
that's true
them to
for
be the feminine.
25-year-olds? Do you think that's
I
true?
do.
I
I mean,
think
I
so
think
too.
there's an element of things changing a little bit for the way younger generations, but this is what works.
Yeah.
The younger people are not dating as much as they used to. They're not getting into relationships and they're not getting married. I wonder why. Because
Right.
all of this is falling away. This stuff works.
Yeah.
The
Well, but
old-fashioned
it
rules.
does.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep like stepping
That's
over
okay.
you. But
I just
one
want to
thing
say
I
it
do want to
really
say
does
is,
work,
go
because
on.
the most I ever fell in love was when the guy was the most old fashioned and the most gentlemanly. I mean,
Mhm.
he wasn't, but he wasn't a pushover. It's a perfect balance between
Yeah.
being a dude that doesn't take shit
Yeah.
and also being really lovely and having loving gestures. It's such an attractive combination.
Ding, ding. It
Yeah.
is. It's the answer. Go ahead, Marnie. Sorry.
Well, I do want to take a quick break for a second, but then I want to come back because I want to tell you about things that bite guys in the ass, right? With dating. Okay, so let's take a quick break for our sponsors, and we're going to come back and we're going to continue talking with Hilary. And again, what is your website called? What is it called?
For if any women happen to be listening, readyforloveinc.com is where this whole company lives. But hilarysilver.com is my brand new personal brand that I just launched, and this is for everyone. The Hilary Silver podcast is for all of you men listening. The messages around how to be your true, full, centered in yourself, you, for really is the answer to all problems. It's a solution to all problems. It is.
I completely
So
agree.
hilarysilver.com.
hilarysilver.com. Okay, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how some of this advice on the surface level tends to bite men in the ass unless it's used properly. And we're going to talk about some of the requests or some of the desires that these women that you work with have that would be good insider information to share with the guys who are listening. So we'll be back after a couple of minutes with our sponsor. All right, so we are back. So I want to talk about these things that bite men in the butt, because all these things are lovely and wonderful. And yes, a man should be leading, absolutely 100%. But I want to get to like the nuance of these statements, right? Because so many guys even say to me, you know what I find works better and gets them to want to go out with me is when they don't know when they're going to hear from me. They don't know when I'm going to write them. It seems to work better in getting them to respond to me when I ask them out on a date. Sometimes when I do disappear for a few days, it is intoxicating for them. So I want to hear like the guidance from your point of view on number one, maybe why this is, and how to follow up like a true gentleman and be a leader without falling into this over contacting space and pouncing space. And I don't, again, you don't advise men, so this may not be in your sphere,
but I do. And here's the thing, whether it's men dating women, women dating men, us making new friends in our lives or whatever, that whole wait and make them feel a certain thing is toxic. It's toxic. If you're going to be a strong man and follow up with a woman and she doesn't like that, then she's not your woman because she wants to play games. And if you're a guy who likes to play games, go for it. But you're going to be stuck in that nasty cycle of bullshit forever. If you want something real, be real. And your leadership is sexy. It's okay, I know what I want and I'm going to come after it. But you're doing it with self-respect and dignity. So it's not going to come off as weak or creepy if you're not weak and creepy. It comes from you. So if you are strong in yourself and you see, wow, I really like this woman. She's got potential. I want to see her again. I'm going to follow up. But you're not doing it from a manipulative place. You're not going to do it from a manipulative place. You're going to do it from a healthy, strong, secure, sexy place.
Mhm.
It will land exactly as you want it to.
Mhm.
Get right with yourselves first. And then whatever your internal feeling is about it, that intention comes through in all of your actions. You're going to do it with boundaries. You're going to do it with strength. And if she doesn't like it, you're out.
Let me ask a question though, because I want to just piggyback on that for 1 second. So everything you're saying is basically if you have a life of abundance, you're going to carry that out properly, right? Because you're going to have other things going on. You know that you're desirable to other women. You know that you have other options out there, but you're saying, no, this woman is special. I'm choosing to focus on this. I totally understand where you're coming from. What if you're not in that space yet? How do you kind of not cheat it, but kind of cheat it without it being manipulation, like to help you get to that space of. So I'm gonna like preface this with a story. So when I first moved out to Los Angeles, I met my husband very quickly, like 9 months after moving to Los Angeles, and I quickly was with him. I was a part of his friendship circle, and that's who I spent most of my time with. And I had a lot of struggles with meeting women. And the thing that I was doing when I was meeting women was that I would pounce on them. I didn't realize this, but I would meet some, but I was needy. I didn't have any female friends. I was feeling like I was spending too much time with my boyfriend at the time, now husband. And I would find a woman, I would really like her because I didn't have other options. And I would pounce on her and say, oh, what are you doing on Saturday? What are you doing on Wednesday? What do you know, like I'd be all over them. And kind of like how I am with you. But I feel like I so played it with Hilary a little bit, and then we sped up. But no, but in the beginning, like, and then my husband said to me, he's like, you got to stop pouncing on women. It's not going to work for you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you are pouncing on them. You see something you like and you pounce and you make sure that they can't move.
I remember
to
this
go
from
somewhere else. And I was like,
ago.
oh, that's
years
so
and years and
interesting.
years ago you talked about this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I've told the story.
You're so cute. I just think you're so cute. I love that story. And that's a perfect example. And and I think, again, it goes back to the story you tell yourself in your head about who you are and where you are. So at that, I'll use your example. At the time, the truth is you didn't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
You had a great life though, but there was a piece that was missing.
Right.
So if I were coaching you in that moment, I would have been telling you, look, Marnie, you're a wonderful human. Any woman would be lucky to have you as a friend. So remember when you're out in the world and you're meeting these really cool women that you have a lot to offer. You have this great life. You're smart. You're funny. You're a great person. Any woman would be lucky to be your friend. So when you meet a new woman that you're excited about, show your genuine interest and invite her to do something, but don't lose yourself.
Yeah.
You are still powerful and amazing. And if she's not going to bite the bait that you're throwing out there, the next one will. So you just can't throw your self-worth away.
You know, really having great qualities about themselves. And we all, for the most part, let that negative voice get ahead of those other, qualities. And so when I do, like I make over men's profiles and I have them fill out a questionnaire and I see the guys, sometimes they have to do it twice, but their self-esteem, you can see as they're almost through their writing goes up as they continue the questionnaire because they start realizing that they have this, and this. And so I think it's a really good idea. And I mean, I ask questions that are unique, it's not just like, what's your job? I mean, that's in there, but I try to delve a little bit deeper. But I think men should take a second and write down things about themselves because, the more you see it, right.
It's not top of mind for
Right. And I
people. They
actually just
focus on the
received,
negative, just like the news.
yeah. And I just
Yeah.
received an
Because
email from
it's
someone who listens
showier.
to the podcast, and he wrote me basically 8 pages. And he said, I know you're looking at this like, why in the world would I read this? I read about a quarter of it today, and I'm like, I'll keep reading. But he
Yeah.
basically listed out all of these great qualities about himself at the bottom, which I'm going to get to. And he wasn't doing it to be braggy. He just really wanted me to know the true him and the real him. And I thought that that was lovely. I'm going to get to reading it soon, but
it sounds like he was writing it in a way that he was trying to convince you or
yes,
convince
definitely.
himself.
But I think if men put stuff down on paper like that, it might stick a little bit more. Or you can take a look at it once a week
Yeah.
or something. Just remind yourself you have stuff to offer, because so many
Yeah.
guys don't think they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I do. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. So we only have about 10 minutes left, but I do want to talk about some of the things that you hear from women that are the wants, frustrations, like just like I want some good like insider information about like, what are these women complaining to you about or coming to you for? Forget about their own self-worth, right? What are the things that they're requesting from men? What do they wish men would just do?
Yeah. I did poll my ladies. I could
Oh,
read a
good.
finger. I sent an
Yeah.
email and I said, okay, ladies, what do you want them to know?
Yes.
And there's a lot of stuff that I'd have to weed through, but I would say, here's one woman, she says, women want a man who listens, truly listens, without thinking about
So
what he's going to
huge.
say next.
So huge.
Just to be present. And to not like fix it or telling them what to do or mansplaining. They just want someone who's going to listen.
Mhm.
Women want men to treat them like a lady, straight out of the mouths of a client. Like,
Yeah.
this is what they want. Lighten up. There's a lot of stress in the world already, so they just want to have a good time. Authenticity. They want men who show up having done their emotional work. I'm reading this now, so there's
These
some
are good. These
pauses.
are good.
A willingness to be vulnerable and to create a space for mutual vulnerability is way more important than being like a pickup artist type suave kind of guy. Honesty is what they want.
But this is also once they're already attracted. Like, just to put that caveat in there, like there is the attraction portion. It is. There's two separate levels, because that is the one thing that I've been doing this for 20 years, and there is female advice and then there's good female advice, right? And the reason that most guys don't get good female advice from women is because they don't ask the right questions. But typically when they are asking things of women, most women are giving that advice from the place of, oh, if I was already attracted to this guy, then these are the things that I would want, versus what they're really asking is, what if you're not attracted to this person? How does he get you attracted? And then it's what you want afterwards.
Confidence is sexy.
Yeah.
It is, and it can't be feigned. It has to be true.
Yeah.
And that's what we were just saying, is like, you have to know yourself inside and out. Know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, and don't try to hide the shit you're not good at. It's not like you need to broadcast it, but it's just a part of who you are. Yeah. And that's actually what makes you human and endearing and funny and sexy, when you're confident in even the shitty things that you are still working on, that are, parts of you that need work. But what happens is, I think, is that hiding all the parts that we are ashamed of, or that we don't want people to know about, or that we feel bad about, creates the behavior that's the problem, which is manipulation, or not following through, or being insecure, or
give me an example of that. Like, how would you advise to share that on a date? Like, because when I hear that, I picture guys on this side just going overboard, like oversharing and overdumping.
Oh, no, they don't want that. That was one of the ladies. I was going to just read the next one. Our dates are not a therapy session.
Right.
I'm sorry. I just have to say this. I went out on a date with a guy. He was nice enough, whatever. I like vulnerability. I'm open. I'm very highly sensitive. I'm so sensitive. He cried. The guy cried 3 times on our date. And I, it was just overboard. And it was like, okay, maybe in a month from now,
That's too much. But what is it? Where, like, tell me the difference. Like, first date, where is vulnerable and
Vulnerable.
where is overboard? Like,
Oh, I'm
tell
sorry.
me.
Vulnerable
For that
isn't about,
situation,
I'm sorry, go ahead,
vulnerable would have
Kristen.
been telling me about the thing that made him emotional and held himself together in front of me on the first date in a public space. And the first time he cried, I went, oh, okay, that kind
Right.
of tugs at my heartstrings a little bit. But then the second and third time, was calling. Yeah, I'm like, can someone get this
You're just
lady
like
out of
looking
here
around.
and
You're
away
like,
from
get me
me?
out of this date.
But yeah, sharing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Her
but not
vagina is
showing that
starting
you
to be
can't
really
really
annoying to me.
control
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
in the first date.
Yeah.
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 Being vulnerable isn't dumping your life story on somebody, and I think on a first date, what I tell my ladies is just have fun. Like, you don't need to be all like emotional and revealing your life story too much too fast burns things out.
Yeah.
If it's, even good stuff, like even if you're like too hot and heavy too quick, it'll fizzle. It burns
The
too
brighter
hot
the
and
flame,
it
the
burns
faster.
out. A slow burn
Yeah.
is so much better.
Yes.
So being vulnerable is just being authentic. It's not dumping an emotional story and pretending, to be emotional, or talking about what makes you sad, or telling your life story, which you don't want to do on the first date. On the first
Right.
date, you want to
So
just go and have
there's a
fun.
question though, because
That is
that
it.
guy who cried was being authentic. He was being incredibly authentic. And authentic is lovely. And I actually did get woo woo. I've read that it's the highest vibration we can reach. It's actually above love. And so everyone wants authenticity. But how do you balance that? Being authentic, but also,
But if you're so authentic with it when you're talking about something that is bringing you to tears, then either you're not ready to date, or the thing that is making you teary is off limits on a first date. Why would you
Yeah.
talk about that? So, like, he doesn't have to pretend that he's not going through a hard time, or his dog didn't just die, or his mom didn't just die, but don't go in depth about it if it's too emotional. Like,
Yeah.
just say, oh, I just lost my mom, but I don't want to talk about that right now because I'm still grieving and I don't want to cry right now. I want to laugh and have fun with you.
yes,
That would be
yeah.
the perfect thing to say. That is extremely vulnerable and authentic and sexy as hell when a man can say, I'm going through this right now, but I'm not going to talk about that because this is all about me getting to know you.
Yeah. I
And
just want to
we
have
can
fun.
talk about that on another date if we get there.
Right. I love that. Okay, one quick closing question for you. What are some signs that women give to men? I don't know if you know this or not, that they are insecure. Like, things for men to look out for that they may read as, oh, she's being bitchy right now, or like even what Kristen just said, like she appears to be super confident, but really are telltale signs of insecurity. And I'm going to give one as an example. So I have learned this over time. Any woman, I haven't noticed men do this, but any woman that I know that tells me who she is, right? Like, says, "Oh, I'm really giving," right? Or or like, I'm a really generous person. Like, usually that's the thing that they're most insecure about, right? So that's my telltale sign. Where before I used to be like, "Oh, why is she bragging about being so generous?" Where now I see, "Oh, you're insecure about maybe not that necessarily." Either insecure around me or insecure in general. Like, that's my telltale sign to see, oh, there's an insecurity there. So
Yeah.
are there other things that guys can look for that say insecurity where they might think, oh, bitch or braggy?
Well, that's funny that you're saying it that way because in my program, I talk about the three personas, and there's the pleaser, the pusher, and the perfectionist.
Okay.
And those are all behaviors, the traits of different personas from women who are actually hiding. So if she's a pleaser, she may come off really powerful and strong in her career, but the pleaser and with men is agreeing with you, being too accommodating, too agreeable, too like, oh, agree, like, just she doesn't want to give you a reason to not like her, so she
Mm-hmm.
goes along, going with the flow, everything you say is great. Like, that's a problem. And
Yeah.
honestly, down the road, you don't want
It'll
to
be a
be with
bigger
somebody
problem.
like that. It's like the whole relationship will be built on a lie. What creates like sexiness and passion for the long term is friction. Friction creates heat. You got to be able to disagree. You got to have two separate selves in a relationship. So anything that comes off maybe a little pleasy, a little too nurturing, a little too understanding, let me help you, or offering to, like, that is a problem big
Okay.
time.
And how do guys
Men have
like
to work on their
help us?
spidey sense because it's there.
But how do we adjust that? So let's say this guy picks up saying like, yeah, she's so agreeable. She wants to do whatever I say all the time. How do I, because here, the thing is, I know that you just said like down that road that's going to bite you in the ass and you should like, not, you weren't saying this, but like get out now. But the truth is that we're all human. We all have our own insecurities. How do we help each other? So like, how does that guy say to her, you know what? I've noticed on our last 3 dates, you, trust me, I love it. You say yes to everything that I suggest, but I know that isn't the truth. I know you want to do other things. You tell me because I want to hear. Like, what is the way to build
Yeah.
that safety there for her?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. We do need to help each other, and when I notice people are doing that with me in my life, pleasing me because I'm a strong personality, and they don't want to disappoint me, and I'm enthusiastic, and they don't want to burst my bubble, so they go along with me, and I'm like, please don't lie to me just to make me happy, because what really makes me happy is knowing what you really think. So I call it rolling out the red carpet, making it easy for them to be honest and just say, I don't believe you that you really just are
And
okay with this. Tell me what you think.
Right.
Tell me what you
about
really
guys
think.
through banter is that they're not really paying attention to what they actually think. So, if they don't like something that she says, they might just be in a headspace where it's like, okay, she's just talking about, a movie, and I'm just not going to have a big opinion on it. And they hide it and they keep it down. They need to be in touch with their guttural reaction and feelings to something need to be readily available. So they need to get really comfortable with that guttural reaction that's not filtered. And that's how they access that, and that's how they challenge her.
Yeah. And yeah, and both for all of us to have the belief that we don't have to agree for this relationship to work out. We can be different, and that's a good thing. You don't want to be different on your values. Don't bend your values. You have to be true to yourself in your values. But
the interesting part is having different opinions.
Exactly.
You learn from somebody else. If you're always the same,
boring.
it's completely boring.
Yeah.
I totally agree with
for
you.
sure.
One exercise, I'm just going to throw an exercise out there that people can do. So this is so un-PC what I'm saying, but it's like as if you have Tourette's, right? Horrible. I'm sorry if anybody has Tourette's and I'm saying this, but it's really like I picture people who have Tourette's, and they just like spit stuff out of their mouth without having it go through a filter first, right? And so I would invite you to go walk around your neighborhood and literally, like as if you have, I'm not going to say it again, but like just spit out the things that you think about the things that you see, to just get comfortable stating your own opinions just with yourself. Like, oh, that house is ugly.
This is literally
that person needs to wash.
This is literally
windows.
the first thing I do with the guys that I work with.
Yeah.
It is that's exactly it. I say, look at everything around you right now.
I love it.
What do you think about the wall color? Right, literally.
And shit on it.
No filter.
Yeah.
Well, and when you spend your whole life, and this is that old conditioning that I was telling you about from childhood, when you're taught to look outside of yourself for who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to say, you're used to looking to others for all of that. When you stop doing that, you sometimes don't even know who you really are. Yeah. And the good news is that it's been there all along. It's always been there. You're just not listening. You're ignoring it, dismissing it, avoiding it, putting it away, pushing it down. So you just got to listen. And part of what you guys are both saying, I love, is because I say that too. Just go notice. When you're at a restaurant, do you like the decor? Do you like the food? Do you like the music? Just pay attention to your likes and your dislikes. Mm-hmm. What pisses you off? When you're watching the news, what makes you upset? What makes you excited? What makes you laugh? Start paying attention, because the key to all of this is just really, truly being centered in yourself, knowing yourself, getting your own back, trusting yourself. And that's really what women want, to bring it all back to the whole,
what they're looking for.
Women want a strong man.
Yeah. Not a man that overpowers them, just to be very clear, but a man who can have a different opinion without saying like, you're a freaking idiot for thinking differently. But
strong in himself.
In himself.
Means that there's room in his life for a woman to be her full self.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's not threatened by that he invites that. Women at the end of the day want to be seen and witnessed, Men at the end of the day want to be seen and witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
So if we just can drop our walls of protection and do that with
Yeah.
each other, I mean, it's how much easier would life be?
I know. I will be on. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. But the interesting thing that I'm noticing after 20 years of a relationship, like we have ebbed and flowed for 20 years, right? There's peaks and valleys, but we're at the point now where we are in this really authentic space. And I get how couples can go through all of these like tumultuous things. And if they stick together and work through it, they can end up in this really nice space of, oh, I just went through all this with you, all this humanness with you. I've grown with you. Now we're authentic, and now it's just like, that's who you are, that's who I am, and you're annoying and I'm annoying, and it's okay. That's what I think happens. But Hilary, thank you so much for sharing all of this insider information with us. I think it was really insightful to the guys who were listening. So guys, if you want to hear more from Hilary Silver, go to her podcast, which is amazing because she speaks to both men and women. So you get insider info from both sides and guidance and direction from her. She's been a therapist. She's been an expert for women since 2017. She knows her shit. Obviously, you can tell from this podcast, but it's hilarysilver.com.
hilarysilver.com.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. And then to listen to my amazing podcast host who looks like this beautiful ballerina today, go to Kristen and Chill, and she will give you the exercise about being really mean.
Well,
to
here's
people
the thing. I just want to
negative. I'm just joking.
I just want to say this about
just
the
having
opinions.
strong
The
opinions.
point isn't to be a know-it-all, and so if they work with me, I have a trick and a formula on how to share your opinions in a witty, charismatic, fun, and endearing way, where it won't push her away.
Yes.
Love
exactly. That. As you see her do it every week on this podcast. So she knows what her shit as well. And if you want more advice on how to become a man women want, go to winggirlmethod.com. New episodes of the Ask Women podcast come out every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Please don't go and waste your time downloading individual episodes of our podcast. Subscribe and then spend the extra time that you have going out and interacting with amazing, beautiful women that have been trained by Hilary about how to be open so it can make a perfect relationship. All right, we'll see you guys next week. You're amazing. Bye.